2.
Senior, we meet again, Ryan said with a shy yet reserved smile, looking both handsome and endearing. But all I felt was a headache. I glanced around and lowered my voice. You didn't do this on purpose, did you? I was a bit annoyed. I never expected something like this to happen to me. I had been too careless that night. I told him my name when adding him on WhatsApp. Knowing my name, my alma mater, and that I work in tech, Ryan had 100 ways to find out where I work. Ryan looked at me with an innocent expression. On purpose? What do you mean, senior? His eyes were clear and honest, completely transparent. I sighed in relief. Looks like I was overthinking it. He just happened to find an internship, not because of me. How could I possibly have that much charm? Right away, I became warm and encouraging, urging him to work hard, learn as much as possible, and build a strong resume for the future. At work, Ryan and I didn't interact much. As an intern, he only needed to coordinate with junior employees on my team, not someone at my level. Our interactions were limited to occasional nods and smiles when we crossed paths, or sometimes sharing a meal in the cafeteria as senior and junior. Of course, I picked up the tab. The first time I realized Ryan's charm was at the company's sports day. When Ryan made that shot, the girls' cheers were so loud they nearly burst my eardrums. I've never been into basketball and don't really know the rules. The only reason I was sitting by the court was for the shade under that big tree. So handsome. Oh my God, I'm breaking up with my boyfriend. He's still single. We still have a chance. No, I don't have any inappropriate thoughts about Ryan. I'm just a fangirl. The girls whispered excitedly, their faces flushed with enthusiasm. I shook my head in disbelief. What was the big deal? Just a handsome face. These young girls really need to get some perspective. My gaze drifted toward Ryan with a mix of indifference, cool detachment, and a hint of defiance, carrying the discerning eye of a seasoned observer. Oh, my dear friends, guess what I saw? I saw Ryan lift the hem of his shirt to wipe away the sweat, and there they were, his abs. Ryan, who always looked so slender, actually had 8 perfectly defined abdominal muscles. His smooth skin was dotted with fine beads of sweat that glistened in the sunlight, so breathtakingly sexy, it left me speechless. Who could resist this? I wanted to join in on the squealing with the girls. Who wouldn't adore such a youthful, beautiful figure? Perhaps my gaze was too intense, because Ryan suddenly looked up in my direction. Caught off guard, I quickly averted my eyes, pretending to look at the sky, the clouds, the scenery. Afterward, I deeply regretted it. Why did I feel guilty? I should have given Ryan a thumbs up and flashed him a warm, approving smile, like a kind-hearted elder. I adjusted my expression and looked toward Ryan again. This time, he didn't glance my way. He was walking with his head down, a faint, gentle smile playing on his lips. There must be a girl he likes in the crowd. I immediately caught that key detail. I turned to look over the girls. Who could it be? Who was the lucky one who got to claim those 8 perfect abs? At that time, I hadn't yet realized that the lucky girl was me. My first meaningful encounter with Ryan happened on a rainy night. That day, my mother came to my office and told me that my younger brother was getting married and needed me to contribute $14,000. It was a cliché, worn-out storyline, the kind people online wouldn't even bother criticizing, yet it was real, straight out of my own life. Just this one last time, only $14,000. Once your brother gets married, there won't be any more expenses for the family, my mother said with an apologetic smile. See, I didn't want to embarrass you at your office, so I waited here. I've been waiting for over 3 hours. Exhausted from a chaotic project, I had worked overtime until 9:30 p.m. outside the office building. A torrential downpour was pouring down, and a hand was reaching out for money. My mother stood by a pillar, her graying hair tousled by the wind. She wore a trendy men's brand jacket, clearly a hand-me-down from my brother, that was slightly too big for her. I watched coldly as her shoulders grew damp from the rain, remembering our last meeting 2 years ago when my brother needed money for a house. Back then, she had also said it would be the last time. That time, I gave her $42,000, all my savings. She said we were even, that I had repaid every bit of their upbringing. That was when I finally understood. My parents didn't love my brother more than me. They simply didn't love me at all. This is really the last time. He's your own brother. If you don't help him, who will? When your father and I are gone, if someone ever gives you trouble, won't you need your brother to stand up for you? I know you're doing well financially, and $14,000 isn't that much. Evelyn, I know you can manage it. $14,000 isn't that much. I make good money. I can afford it. Every word felt like a dagger twisting in my heart. Ask someone else for help. I can't do this, I said, turning to walk away, wanting to escape back into the office building. But my mother grabbed my arm tightly. Now that you've grown wings, you think you can just ignore your parents? We raised you from nothing, and this is how you repay us? Fine, let's go talk to your boss and see what they have to say. The security guards at the entrance glanced over, their expressions shifting from curiosity to disdain after hearing my mother's words. It was humiliating, but I had no choice. I shouted at my mother, $70,000. I've given the family $70,000 over the years. My brother lives in a 1,900 square foot apartment, while I share a rented place. Mom, what more do you want from me? Do I have to break my bones and drain my blood for you to be satisfied? I called out for the guards and passers-by to hear. I refused to let my reputation be tarnished. I wasn't ungrateful. I was just the overlooked child, the one who gave everything and still received no acknowledgement. We raised you from childhood, clothed you, fed you, and paid for your education from elementary school all the way through graduate school. What about your brother? He didn't even finish middle school. And you dare compare yourself to him? I felt like laughing bitterly, but I also wanted to cry. So, my brother's lack of education was my fault too? Just because I earn more and he earns less, I should be the one supporting him? My mother was still shouting something, but I could no longer make out her words. I dashed into the pouring rain, stumbling forward. The rain was blinding. I ran for what felt like an eternity until I couldn't go any farther, then slowly trudged along the sidewalk. The rain was pouring down relentlessly. Passers-by gave me curious looks as they hurried past. I didn't have an umbrella, and my tears mixed with the rain, invisible to everyone. A car honked behind me. Some lunatic, I thought. I was walking perfectly fine on the sidewalk. What was there to honk about? A moment later, an umbrella appeared over my head. Ryan's voice was filled with concern. Are you all right, senior? Do I look okay? I shot him a dark look. Get lost. Go away, don't bother me. Even if you're handsome and have 8 perfect abs, 80 wouldn't make a difference. Senior, you'll get sick if you keep this up. Let me take you home, Ryan insisted, blocking my path. Get lost. Are you deaf or something? I gave him a hard shove. Why did everyone have to get on my case? Couldn't I just be left alone? Swaying slightly from my push, Ryan still refused to leave. He looked at me, his voice impossibly gentle. Then take the umbrella. I'll drive alongside you. If you get tired, just let me know, and I'll take you home. Ryan pressed the umbrella handle into my hand. I watched, stunned, as he turned and walked away. In the pouring rain, his t-shirt was instantly soaked. It wasn't that no man had ever been kind to me. There had been sweet words, gifts, even proposals with diamond rings and property deeds. Compared to those, Ryan's umbrella was nothing. But the sight of his rain-soaked back stirred an inexplicable ache in me. That slender frame, he really was still just a kid. Suddenly, all my anger vanished. I followed Ryan to his car, soaked to the bone. Even the warm air inside couldn't chase away the chill. I shivered uncontrollably, sneezing again and again. "My place is just around the corner. Why don't you come over, take a hot shower, and change into some dry clothes?" Ryan asked gently. "Okay," I rasped, nodding. How foolish of me to take my health for granted. Why had I stayed out in the rain for so long? With my project in chaos, I couldn't afford to get sick. I absolutely couldn't fall ill. Ryan's apartment was indeed close, just around the corner. The elevator had mirrored walls. I caught Ryan glancing at my reflection before he quickly looked away. I studied my reflection, strands of hair plastered to my face, my light-colored dress clinging damply to my body, the outline of my undergarments clearly visible. I looked disheveled and messy, anything but attractive. I didn't even bother to cross my arms to cover myself. This wretched woman was me, defeated, indifferent, wanting nothing, caring for nothing. After a hot shower, wearing Ryan's clothes, I sat on the couch in a daze. My throat was starting to ache, a sign I was coming down with a cold. Ryan was in the kitchen brewing ginger tea and suggested I have some before heading out. Ryan had given me a brand new University t-shirt to wear. The familiar scent of laundry detergent lingered on it, the same brand I use. The familiar scent was soothing, and I grew drowsy. I woke in the middle of the night to find a blanket draped over me. The living room lights were off, and Ryan was sitting on the rug in front of the sofa, watching an old movie. The flickering light danced across his face, his features even more handsome than a young Takashi Kaneshiro. Takashi Kaneshiro's voice echoed through the scene. "Every time I go through a breakup, I go for a run. Running helps sweat out the sadness, so I don't cry as easily." I watched as Ryan rewound the scene and played it again. Had he just gone through a breakup? Who did he like? Among the girls cheering for him on the court today, who was the one he had feelings for? I was curious, and I couldn't help but feel a hint of envy for that girl. The one you think of in the dead of night is the one who truly holds your heart. And what about me? Has anyone ever loved me so sincerely? Probably not. Nothing else happened that night. Ryan didn't ask me any more questions. He drove me home, and we parted calmly and amicably. I didn't look back as I walked away, but deep down, I knew he felt different to me now. Once you've seen someone's vulnerable, lonely side in the middle of the night, you can no longer think of them as just an ordinary colleague or a junior. That's how I felt about Ryan.